See if this works. Reflection on. How do I change this? Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace and the blessings. Let's see. Disk. Is it gonna work? Praise be to Allah.
Alhamdulillah. Yes, that worked. Man, so my IG must be tripping then. Okay.
Instagram, man. Sometimes they want to be right, sometimes they don't.
Well, yes. We're going to get this knowledge out one way or the other.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
One way or the other. Hold on. Let me just pull up your bio real quick. Then we can get it started. Let's see.
If you want to, whenever you get the chance, put like I think you had a comment pinned.
Oh, yes.
I'll pin it this time. Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Peace and the blessings.
I'm doing that right now. Okay. You see it?
Yes. Okay, I just pinned it.
All right. So I'm gonna. Oh, okay. So I'm gonna introduce you, and then I'm gonna say a couple housekeeping items, and then we can get started.
Yes, sir.
All right. All right. So here we go. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom. Shalom. Hotep. Islam. Alafia. Peace. Peace. What's going on, family? It's your host, Brother Kwesi of DTR 360 Books. Happy Monday. Happy Monday. Man, we have a very, very special guest in the house tonight. I'm just elated and honored to have this young activist, young Muslim on our podcast show. So before we get started, a couple of housekeeping items. Please make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Click the link in my bio and hit the subscribe button. If you like what you hear, if you are interested in any books, any knowledge, wisdom, or understanding, make sure that you subscribe to our YouTube channel. Also, our podcast. We are on Spotify. We are on iHeartRadio. We're on Audible. Any podcast streaming platform you can find us on. So make sure that you search for us, DTR 360 Books. You follow us or subscribe. All right, so without further ado, so tonight we have AnNura Muhammad. She's a Muslim, an entrepreneur, a content creator, and a student of life. And a student of life of the Most Honorable the Most Honorable Louis Farrakhan, and the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. All right, so without further ado, I bring to you AnNura Muhammad. Peace, beloved. Thank you for coming on tonight. How are you?
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for having me.
Walaikum salam.
I'm all right. I'm looking forward to this.
Indeed. All right, great. So let's get to it. So, what was your upbringing like? What was it like growing up? I believe it's Milwaukee. So, how was that upbringing like for you?
Upbringing was, I can say, pretty good. My parents I was always good no matter what the circumstances was. I can say that I had a relatively positive childhood. I actually grew up with a father who was in the Nation of Islam and a mother who was not in the Nation of Islam. So I kind of grew up with, I like to call it the best of both worlds, because I knew I had an idea of what it was like to be, of what Islam looked like, but also what it was like to, just do worldly things, just growing up with both of these dynamics. So I can say that um, childhood was pretty great, well rounded. Um, Parents instilled a lot of good things in me. So I think that was.
Indeed. So, so like, okay, so like, I guess you had like one foot in the nation and one foot out the nation while growing up.
Mhm.
Um, so what clicked for you that, gave you the motivation or the insight of saying, you know what, I'm gonna take this thing all the way. Like I'm gonna actually register it in the Nation of Islam and take it seriously.
When I was around 16 or 17, I was in high school, really starting to want to get to know who I was, like just out of um, curiosity. When you're young, you just want to know more about yourself. I started, wearing my hair naturally a little more, wearing dashikis, and
Mm,
then I being on social media and actually seeing Brother Ben X, if anyone is familiar with him. He is a very popular influencer in the Nation of Islam. And I remember seeing him because when I was around 16, the Nation of Islam and stuff, I was a teenager. I wasn't really heavy on it. My father stopped, making us go to the mosque at that point. But when I seen Ben, I was like, oh wow, I never seen, the nation on social media. This is pretty cool. And I believe that kind of sparked something in me to just go study and learn and gain all of this information that I did not receive growing up because again, I just had my father being a part of the Nation of Islam, and he only left. He everything was like a surface level. I didn't know everything on a deeper level until I went to go get
mm,
that in myself. But yeah, it was curiosity, and I honestly just think
mm.
that this path Allah God wants me on, and so I'm here, and life has just been making sense ever since. So yeah.
Right. Indeed, man. I always say that curiosity causes you to learn more. If you're not curious, then you're not going to care to read. If you're not curious, you're not going to care to learn. So curiosity definitely is a source that all of us should be willing to partake of. Um, so yeah, man, that's dope. Shout out to Ben X. Very, very, very good brother. So in your journey in knowing thyself, I would say, what speeches did you listen to? What books did you read? What people did you speak to? Right? Because speaking to people is also a part of research and gaining knowledge.
Yes, of course. Well, of course, I was familiar with Louis Farrakhan, so I'd watch some of his lectures. But really, for me, and then of course going to the mosque, and then I had my father to ask questions about and whatnot. But really, for me, it was going to the mosque and asking the women a part of the orientation classes, which is what you would go to if you are interested in the Nation of Islam. There's a women's orientation, and then there's like I believe for the FOI there's orientation. But for me, going and asking questions to them, that was really huge for me because again, I was just so curious. And so I just asked whatever questions that I have and they'd answer those questions. As far as books, of course, Message to the Black Man in America. Um, what else was a heavy hitter? And of course, all of the books by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, honestly. But I know one that really stuck with me was this book called or titled Naturally Beautiful by Minister Ava Muhammad, who is,
Yeah, she's dope.
yes, she's the national spokesperson of the Nation of Islam, or for the Muslim Farrakhan, I believe. And that book right there was just like game changing to me because again, I was on this journey to finding myself, finding who
Mhm.
I am. And that book pretty much breaks down, the nature of the female and
Mm,
everything that we have to do to get back to who we originally were as females And that like cracked some codes in my little 17, 16-year-old brain. And it just made me so
So
confident.
you read that book. You read that book when you was about 16, 17.
Yes,
Wow.
I was still in high school. I did not graduate yet, but I just remember it really resonated with me, because I never heard information like that before. And really everything that she put out as far as her lectures on YouTube, I love listening to her. For me, the female student ministers in the Nation of Islam is really what like attracted me. Of course, the minister and the teachings of Muhammad, but for me, the females, their information, because it was just something I was yearning for. I always wanted to know the information that I
Right.
received. So it just, I don't know, I just
So
love it. So yeah.
so from that book, can you give us like two takeaways that stuck with you even to this day with that book?
Yeah, I actually have it right here.
Okay.
When I say it's my
Okay.
favorite,
Alhamdulillah.
I read it every, I don't know. I try to read it every year, but I've read it at least 5 times. And every time I read it, I pick up on something new. That's why I have so many notes.
Indeed.
I'm,
As you
I just,
should.
I just do so much with it because it's so full. And um, I can say that my greatest takeaways again would be, her teaching on the nature of the woman. And it's not even like just her saying these words. It's through what we are taught in the Nation of Islam, given to us by the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so the way she breaks it down, like our literal, like our natures, and then like it's like reading it and then reflecting on my life and seeing like, wow, that makes so much sense. Like this is why I've been doing this since I was a child because it's literally my nature to do this. And then just like having that information and allowing everything to like click, and then me just striving to clear myself of the things that kind of hid who I naturally am, because of life traumas and stuff happens. We kind of lose who we were born to be. And like learning that from that book, it literally changed my life. Like, again, I'm just so confident in who I am and who I belong to because the woman is really, we are the woman of God. We are not the woman of man. And that is really something that she teaches. It's a lot in that book. It's kind of hard to pinpoint one, but again, the whole knowledge of self type of thing, as far as the female, is really what resonates with me.
Right, right. Indeed. Yeah, man, because it's to me it's unfortunate because not enough of African black women know of themselves.
Mm.
Um, so and who gave you that book, by the way? Was it just a book that was lying around in your house and you decided to pick it up, or someone gave it to you like, listen, I think you should read this book?
Actually, yes, it was a book. I don't think my father actually showed me this book. I think I might have been going through his stuff. But my father, he gets our names, like when he goes to purchase books from people, sometimes he gets them written out to his children. So when I first opened this book, again, I think I was just looking for stuff to read. But when I first opened this book, my name is actually in this book. And so
Mm,
he got this back in 2014. I was like 15 years old at this time. I wasn't thinking about the teachings. I wasn't thinking about anything. I was just,
wow.
but when
You
I
was thinking
opened,
about the streets.
I'm sorry.
You was thinking about the streets. You was thinking about,
Yeah, I was
you
being
know,
a teenager. I was having fun with my
right.
friends. But
Hmm.
he thought about me. He got my name in here, and then when I opened it up in, I think that was 2017, that was like confirmation to me. I'm like, all right, I'm supposed to be reading this. This is exactly where I'm supposed to be right now in my life. And so yeah, that's how I came about this book. I don't know. I feel like this is for me at that moment in time.
Yeah, no, no, that's dope. I mean, I really love that. And shout out to your pops too for just for that vision. I think it's like just for that vision, right? Because he probably knew, okay, you're not going to read this right now in 2014. In 2, 3 years down the line, it may get to you somehow, some way. And by it getting to you, it changed your thinking, and it changed you ultimately from who you were to who you are today. If if you know, if I may say so myself. So shout out to your pops for that. And yeah, that's something that I would definitely do,
Yeah.
inshallah, when that time is right. Because kids will be kids. They're
Yeah.
not thinking about, conscious stuff, being an activist and so on and so forth. They thinking about being in the streets, going with their friends, hanging out, right? Not listening to mommy and daddy, so on and so forth. So yeah, man, that's dope.
Yeah.
So I understand that let's switch gears a bit. So you're an entrepreneur. So talk a little bit about that, right? So having your own business, how has that been like? And if you can give some advice to someone who is now also starting their own business, what would it be?
Um, I can start with the advice piece because I feel like that'd be better. Start with advice. But as
Yeah,
someone,
whichever question you want to tackle first.
the advice, because I can build the story off of the advice. But I've been on my, what is this, entrepreneurship business kind of journey for the last 5 years now. Go in June, it'll be 5 years. And I can say that the advice that I would give to someone who wants to get into this is to have mentorship and to establish an unbreakable, unshakable relationship with Allah, God, whoever you call the creator of the universe, of the everything. Because honestly, I started my entrepreneurship journey again. I was around 18. I graduated high school. I decided I did not want to go to college. I wanted to be an entrepreneur. I wanted to start business. I'm very artistic, so at that time I'd create paintings. I figured out how to paint on T-shirts and jackets and shoes, and so I was just going really crazy with that because my mind was focused on I'm about to make it because I love doing this and I want to make this my life. And so, um, but I didn't have any mentorship. I didn't have anything.
Okay.
I just wanted to continue with that will and that desire. But I started that, and then come that next year, which was around 2018, 6 months after I graduated, I actually, adulthood and life kind of hit me because I ended up quitting my part-time job at that time because of,
Mm,
again, this inaccurate view of what life was going to be like as an entrepreneur, as a quote unquote adult, because I was only 18. And I actually, because of, you know, having all these expectations and these demands that were never met because I didn't know what I was doing, I was just a child pretty much. I ended up falling in this very dark, low period in my life for a few months to where I stopped
mm,
painting. I stopped doing a lot of stuff. Well,
uh,
yeah, painting, I just stopped doing the creative things that I would do months prior because I had all of these expectations that were not met. And so that was about 4 years ago. And I'm still getting over, losing interest in painting and drawing, even though it's been a part of me since I've been alive.
mm,
Um, because I didn't have direction, I didn't have guidance. I just
mm,
said, hey, I want to do this, so I'm going to do it. You're not going to tell me what to do. But at the end
mm,
of the day, God that I even did all that because now I know this information and I can share it with others who may be beginning. And
right.
but yeah, having not having mentorship. But again, my journey, I'm grateful for everything. I don't have any regrets. I don't. Yeah, I
Okay.
have regrets. Everything's divine in my part. But again, I know that having mentorship is important because you'd have someone to look up to because that is someone who is exactly where you want to be. They can tell you, oh, you shouldn't do that because I did that and that's going to mess you up. Or, oh, you
Right.
shouldn't do that because, you know, that's going to push you back for 3 years because I know exactly how
Mm-hmm.
that out. Maybe you stick
Mm-hmm.
with, stay exactly where you're supposed to be going. Because my thing was, you know, I'm all over the place because I get ideas so fast and I just want to
Okay.
execute. When it comes to business and
So,
stuff, you kind of got to go through a trial before you put stuff out into the world. And it's just, I didn't know any of that, nor did I care because I was young and I just
mm,
knew to do this thing.
mm, mm.
And it wasn't until, and help too, I forgot. Ask people for help.
Who? Oh,
Ask for help. Um, that was a big issue for me. And again, I was just making it happen. I was still at home, so I really didn't have to worry about bills and stuff for the first 2 years of my
okay.
entrepreneurship journey. And then it wasn't until 2020 where I kind of was just like, okay, Nora, after years of not being where it is that I would like to be, what are you gonna do? I realized that I needed someone to tell me what it is that I need to do, and so I seeked out mentorship. Um, and then that mentorship helped me to actually, you know, move to my next stage of development. And after that, I did get a job, and I worked that job for about a year, which I'm grateful for because I learned a lot at that job that I'm actually
Mm-hmm.
able to apply now for the business
Right.
that I will be launching within the next few weeks, months.
Mm,
So
mm.
still, even though it's been like 5 years, I'm still in the beginning stages of starting this business because a lot of God has brought me through all of these different things to prepare me for where I am now because I now understand what it's like to work under a business, a successful business. I know what it's like to, you know, have all of these things happen and then how to maneuver them. So, yeah.
Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So, you think that having a mentor at the beginning of your entrepreneurship journey would have avoided your depression stage?
Um, Probably yes. Because again, I had these ideas of how things were supposed to go. But if I would have had somebody tell me straight up, look, that's not how it's going to work
Right, right.
in business. Business is not about emotions. It's not about feelings. It's about actual facts. It's about numbers. And honestly, really, I mean, the truth. I'm someone who resonates heavily with the truth, and I don't have a choice but to submit to it when it is brought to me. So if
The
I would have
truth
just
is the
heard
truth.
that right away at 18-year-old, still strong willed, can't nobody tell her she can't do nothing, AnNura, I would have, who knows where I would have been by now. But again, I'm grateful that I had those years of trial and tribulations
Mm.
because
Oh,
I think
yes.
a
Yeah.
sturdy foundation what it is that I'm about to bring to the world, inshallah, within the next few weeks. So yeah,
Inshallah. Alhamdulillah. How is your mental state today?
I think it's great.
Like your mental health? Yeah. How is your mental health today?
It is amazing, and it is wholeheartedly because I have a personal relationship with Allah God now. Um, Back in 2018, when I did have that, I was still, you know, coming into the teachings, and things were still kind of fresh and new, and I really didn't understand things as much as I do now because you know
Mm.
life circumstances allow things to make sense. You know, it's just
Yeah.
things are revealed to you over time. But I can say now, mental health is as great as it has ever been, as far as for this
Mm.
year in general.
Right.
So
Mashallah. Man, that's beautiful. I'm glad and delighted that you are in a better state. And you learn through trial and errors, right? Just like you said. And so a loss is not really a loss. A loss is a lesson. So those are lessons that you've learned
mm,
that has gotten you to the place where you are today, right? So family, if you was listening, the sister said definitely you want to have a mentor. If you're now starting out your business, if you're now starting out and being an entrepreneur, make sure that you get a mentor, because and a mentor also saves time. I believe it saves time,
Oh my
because yes, everything is in divine timing. However, for me personally, I would rather save time and um, say like making 10 mistakes within this year, 2022, rather than if I had a mentor, I've only made 5 mistakes. And still, I've learned through those 5 mistakes.
God.
And it has actually gotten me closer to my goal than if I would have made 10 mistakes with no mentor. So definitely you want to get a mentor as soon as possible. As the sister said, you want to ask questions, ask as many questions as possible, because as I said earlier in this podcast show, asking questions is a part of resources, it's a part of researching
Mhm.
the knowledge in which you're trying to acquire. So definitely asking questions is a must. Um, and yeah, like just have fun. Just
Yeah.
have fun with it, especially if it's something that you love to do, which is, as you sister stated, that you just love arts. You just love to be creative,
Mm. Yeah. And
right?
yes, yes, sir. And actually big on the just have fun and
Yeah.
you know, yeah, have fun. Because my big motto or what I like to live by is if you're not having fun, then you're not doing it right. And that can be applied to
Right.
everything because I mean, who wants to just do something that they are not enjoying? And so actually when it comes to, the business and the entrepreneurship stuff, I literally had to do all of these different things to find my one thing that brings me the most joy, that brings me the most fulfillment. And I honestly can say right now, in this moment in time in my life, it's teaching people how to do what it is that I taught myself how to do 5 years
Mm,
ago. And that's creating this content and like helping people tap into their inner selves so that the world can see that self and that better help
mm-hmm.
them business and their content and whatnot. But what I wouldn't know that. I wouldn't be where I am today again if it were not for me trying and playing around with making
Trial and
t-shirts
error.
or learning how to do prints and learning how to do logos and stuff. Like, I mean, I know how to do these things. I have all these skills now by the grace and mercy of Allah again because I played around with that. But I know that that was not what brings me the most joy, the most fulfillment. And when it comes to this business, your heart really got to be in it because there's going to be days and months
Oh
where it's
yeah, right,
up. But
right.
when you really like, this is what you're supposed to be doing, like it's your calling, you're connected to it, it's easy for you to want to whip out 3 videos because this is my calling. People need me. I'm going to keep doing this because I'm supposed to be doing this. And so yeah, playing around is important. Exploring.
Yes, yes. Word. So you know that this is Women's History Month. Well, I mean, every month is Women's History Month, but it's recognized, as I should say, during this month, March. So what does woman history mean to you?
Honestly, women's history to me just means the beginning of civilization, honestly. Women is history. We all came from, a woman, other than, the creator of the universe, Allah God. And so, man, it's just a lot. That is a very heavy question. And it's so
Take your
broad.
time, sister. Take your time.
We are women's history. Women everywhere who are alive right now. You are literally, not even just women, humans alive right now. We are proof of women's history. I think that's a very broad question. And I don't
Okay.
really, hmm. I think I answered that pretty good though. Like,
All right. Yeah.
I don't think
So,
it's just
huh?
we are women's history, so I really cannot pinpoint it.
Yeah,
You
no,
okay?
yeah. I mean, I just want to build on you, right? So, exactly. We are women's history because just like you said, we all came from the womb of a woman. If there wasn't a woman, there would not be any of us.
Yeah,
So, shout out to all the women of humanity. Shout out to the original African Black woman. Uh, for so many hundreds of years, uh, they've been through so much, and yet they are still standing today. So, um,
still producing.
yeah, uh, it's a lot. Well, especially women couldn't have done it without the original African Black man, right? So with them together as one, we are unstoppable. So I would be remiss if I talk about the Asiatic African Black woman and not mention the Asiatic African Black man. Again, they are one and the same. So to me personally, it's vital and significant that when we talk about women's history, yes, we should also give praise to the womb man, right? But we should also raise up the man on that same level because they are interchangeable. One cannot go without the other, and the other can't go without that one.
Sure.
So when we walk in that unison, and when we thrive and our souls become one, again, we are unstoppable.
Hmm. And that's the objective of the enemy, for us to not get together and do what it is that we were literally what we've been doing for centuries.
Indeed, indeed, right? So let's go here, right? One of my favorite quotes by the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, may Allah be pleased with him. He said that no nation can rise higher than its woman. That's a powerful quote. I love that quote. What significance does this statement mean to you?
Um, when you first coming into the nation, or you first hear that, you're just like, oh, okay, that's a pretty nice statement. That's cool. But someone who's been in the nation for like about 5 years, again speaking for myself, now that statement to me, where with my current understanding, is really that the world cannot change until the woman changes, because people literally come through women. Like, the woman is the first nurse, the woman is the first doctor, the woman is the first teacher. Whether we want to believe this or not, but our babies are literally reflections of us. The father, of course, daddy's there. The baby's going to reflect the father. But the babies follow the mother, and the babies do what the mothers do. So when you teach and train and reform the woman, show her who she is, show her who she belongs to, then that by default is going to affect the children. That's going to influence the husband, because when she knows who she is, she knows her role. She can better help him fulfill his. So again, the nation can rise no higher than this woman, um, makes me again remember that the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches that 75% of the work is with the woman and 25% is with the man. Because again, when you teach a man, you teach an individual, but when you teach a woman, you're teaching an entire nation. That's not a direct quote, but again, people come from women, and so when it's I'm just noticing this a lot in myself too. Like, the more I am changing and the more I'm growing and developing and healing, the better my like entire um what do I want to use? My entire like family, like my dynamic with my relationships with my relatives, my parents, all of that is changing simply because um, I decided that I wanted to apply the teachings of Most Untitled Muhammad and like study and be a part of the classes of the MGT and GCC. So like again, I'm seeing it in my own life, but then again, in a broader picture, like literally, a nation can rise no higher than its woman. So yeah, I hope that I answers that question.
Indeed, indeed, yes, yes, indeed. Also, um, I mean, Malcolm X said it similar to this statement. In one of his interviews, he said that where's there the woman, there is her family, or there is her nation,
Mm-hmm.
right? So if the woman is educated, if the woman is upright, if the woman is self-respected and have self-love for herself, then the family and the nation is educated. The nation has respect and love for themselves. But wherever you go and you see the woman who is dressing half naked, who doesn't have a knowledge of self, who doesn't have a love for self, and who doesn't even know what it is to be a woman, there goes the nation, right? And what do we have here today? We have a lot of our women still being dressed half naked, still not reading, not being educated in the form of knowing thyself, not having your self-worth. And what do you see our nation? Still, right? Uneducated. Our families are broken. And we're still, doing drugs. We're still doing everything that is not putting us in that righteous and positive mindset. So where there is the woman, there goes the nation. So that statement is very powerful.
Yes, sir.
So yes.
And I
Speaking
also
of, go ahead,
say
sis.
that again, we really just don't know any better. Like we see what our mothers were doing, our cousins and
Right.
aunts. So we think, oh, they doing it. I guess I can do it too. I'm seeing it on TV. I'm seeing it in these music videos. Then that must be okay. Um, so we just got to be informed. That's all. And that's where, inshallah, my content and kind of what I want to do with what I do um, is going to help with that. Because I really, like, we really just don't know that, you know, the importance and the divinity of ourselves as women.
Mm,
So,
mm.
yeah.
Indeed, indeed. And when we do know, we should apply that we should apply that knowledge. This is our motto. Applied knowledge is true power. A lot of
Mm.
people like to say knowledge is power, but a lot of people do know and they still act other than themselves. And I know some brothers and sisters myself. Right? So definitely when you do know, you want to apply the knowledge faithfully and thoroughly so that you can become a changed man and a changed woman.
Mm. I like that. I just type that in my quotes. Applied
And
knowledge, true power.
indeed, applied knowledge is true power. You can have all the knowledge in the world, but if you don't apply it, what good is it? Huh? So uh definitely we want to, well, definitely, I try to preach that as much as possible. All the books, people read a lot of books.
Mm-hmm.
People definitely go to a lot of lectures. People definitely listen to a lot of lectures on YouTube. But if you're not applying the knowledge and if it's not making you better, then
Mm-hmm.
what good is it?
Yep.
What good is it? Like really and truly. So definitely we want to make that application. You see, many of us are too lazy. We want to be given freedom, huh? We want to be given the luxuries of what freedom is. We want to be given the privilege. We want to be, given the nice cars and the nice houses, but we don't want to work for it. So in a sense, we are psychologically lazy and physically lazy as well because we don't want to get up and fight for our freedom. Man, I loved our ancestors and our grandparents and great grandparents of the 50s and 60s. They went out and they did the work. We got to do the work. And it's the next thing because many of us just want to be uh, social media activists and we don't want to go out and do the work. We don't want to do the grassroots movement kind of work. We just want to stay online, Facebook and Instagram, post some content about so-called white supremacy and think that's going to make a difference. We have to physically do the work. So, I mean, that's just what I've seen. I don't want to go off on a tangent, but yeah, we just got to do the work.
It's all facts. And honestly, when it comes to doing the work, it starts with self. Self improvement is the basic development, and that's actually a book that we study during our Friday night meetings in the Nation of Islam. Because again, we can have all of these communities and businesses and whatnot, but if we are not all doing our jobs ourselves to, improve ourselves, heal from traumas, whatever it is that we have going on. And of course, you won't have to do that by yourself. There's people out there that can assist you. But again, we all have to put in that effort. We all have to um, make that vow that we will do better. And then when we have all these individuals that are doing better, and they come together, we can really make a difference in this thing.
Yes, yes, indeed. So, let's talk about the African Black family real quick. So in one of your lives with the sister, you mentioned, that your grandmother is, very dear to your heart. She, helped you out with a lot and so forth. So, how vital is grandparents?
Grandparents, that's a great question, actually.
Thank you.
I think it's important, or they're just, yeah, they're important because they kind of bridge the gap between the past and the present. Excuse me. Because for me, one thing, I love spending time with my grandmother because she's just so wise and she's really a kind person. And just being around her and seeing how she deals with people, watching her cook, showing or just seeing how much she pours into so many other people, like all the time, and expects like nothing in return. Um,
Mm.
it's
She's just
just,
doing it from the kindness of her heart.
yeah, she's just so sweet. Even though she, she a grandma, so she gonna be a grandmother. But well, I can honestly say that because I believe that I do have a positive grandparent to look up to. Because not everyone has, positive grandparents
Right.
that are, good people that you should look up to. But again, for me, grandparents are important because, like I said, they like bridge that gap. I love asking my grandmother, about her life growing up and her parents, because I'm always very so curious about my my great grandparents, my great great grandparents, because I always want to have a better understanding of how I am the way I am
Right.
today. Like, why
Right.
do I look? Why am I built like this? Why do
Right.
I? Um, so my grandmother on my, what is it, paternal side, that's your father, right?
No,
Father,
patriarchal is your father.
right?
Maternal is your mother.
Yes. So my grandmother on my father's side, I've been relatively close to her, pretty much my whole life. But my grandmother on my mother's side, I never got to meet her because she passed away. My mother was around 6 years old. She was very young, so she doesn't even really remember her mother. But through having conversations with my great aunts, or her actually having conversations with my mother, with her great aunts and whatnot, hearing that her mother, my mother's mother, who I never got to meet, was this very lively, wonderful person who loves children and a lot of characteristics and stuff that I actually possess myself.
Mm.
Um, so it's really just connecting the dots. Like as much as I can, I really love learning about my history and again my family and how we got to where we are. And I honestly, on my father's side, someone in my family, they actually have a family tree to where they actually figured out who our slave master was. And then the woman that he impregnated and created all of these really bright children. And then like one of those children happened to be my great grandmother. So
Wow.
yeah, I just love it because again it bridges the gap.
No, yes. I mean, genealogy, that's very key. That's a part of knowing thyself, right?
Hmm?
Because yes, of course, we should go back thousands years ago in ancient Kemet, right? And that civilization, West Africa, and those Songhai, Ghana, uh, empires, and so on and so forth. But it's also necessary for us to know the lineage within our family, right? And know and try to go as far back as possible so that, as you said, sister, we can be able to figure out, why are we like this? Because we possess, thousands and thousands of DNA chromosomes from our ancestors. So with all of them, they are living in us. And, you know, as trauma, I think you mentioned trauma earlier, trauma and depression, all of that is hereditary as well.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes we don't even know why we're acting a certain way, and that's because of our DNA, how our DNA is set up, right? But as there is a negative standpoint to that, as far as the trauma, depression, and all of that goes, you can actually heal from that.
Mm-hmm.
And as you said, that's what it starts with, improving and healing thyself, not only knowing thyself, but healing, truly healing yourself. And in my personal opinion, you can never 100% heal because you're always, trying to get better. You're always trying to be a better person than you were the day before. So there's a constant healing process that goes on for the rest of your life. But you should try as much as possible to get to that 100% healing goal as possible. Just like we're not, you know, people strive to be perfect, right? But us as humans, we're not perfect. We're going to make mistakes. Only Allah is perfect. But we should strive to be as perfect as Allah, huh? And in our imperfections are our perfections. So we should also learn by trial and error, right? So we're navigating through the world and hence are becoming perfect human beings. But yet we will always make mistakes. We will always cuss. We will always, have a cheat day. I'm a aspiring vegan. I may have a cheat day and eat macaroni and cheese or something like that, right? But Allah, He's perfect. He know, listen, that is a no-no. That dairy, right, is a no-no. So we should always strive to be perfect, but know that our imperfections are also our perfections.
Yes, sir. Mm. I also kind of want to touch on like a personal witness bearing really of like generational trauma and inheriting things that, isn't even really a part of your makeup, but it is because you inherited this.
Right.
So example is this would be for me, I used to get very bad anxiety and fear when it came to roller coasters. And
Mm.
I'm random. But
Nah.
wait, yeah, with roller coasters. And all the time growing up, I did not like roller coasters. I'm not riding a roller coaster. You couldn't get me on this roller coaster. But my brother and sister, however, they never had that problem. They was just like, it's just a ride. I don't understand why you tripping over this so much, why you get so much anxiety about this. And it wasn't until a few years ago that I realized that my mother is this exact same way. Like
Wow.
she did not do rides. She hates that feeling of, your stomach drops. So she never
Right.
rode rides like that. And so I, just being a child, being of her offspring, I guess I inherited that fear. And
Right.
then I come to realize that this is not your fear. Why are you letting this stop you from doing something you really want to do and it's fun? Because I always battle in my mind, like I want to ride it, but at the same time I don't, because again, I have this fear of roller coasters that I inherited. And it took like a few years ago for me to just be like, hey, I got this fear, but I'm not about to allow it to stop me from having fun. And so now I actually ride rides. And of course, your adrenaline gets up, you get a little scared. But I don't allow that to stop me because I know it's going to be fun. And then again, I've had to make that connection in my mind that this is not your fear. You inherited this fear. So go do it what it is that you want, that you're going to enjoy. And it's not even just like the roller coasters, like that little message there, or just that little, well, I can call it a lesson. That little lesson in time
Right.
is just like, it just made me reflect on so many things about myself that again, like my brothers and sisters probably don't do. But because I inherited these things from my mother, I have to literally heal from them and grow past them. Because I know for a fact I do not want children who inherit, fear of little stuff, anxieties. I want them to
Right.
only God and God only. And I know that that's only possible if I become a God fearing woman myself. So just to add on to what you were saying.
Yeah, no, powerful. That's a powerful reflection and a powerful statement. That's, kind of similar to me. With me, I often think about of it being in my past life. And so I say that to say that I don't like dogs. I don't know why. It could be, I mean, little dogs, it's okay, but like those big dogs, man, I just try to stay away from them as much as possible. And so I often think maybe it's because in my past life, I may have gotten bitten by a dog. I may have even was killed by a dog is the reason why I don't love dogs to this day. So yes, that is something that is part of my DNA makeup, I guess. Or it's part of my past life that happened before. I often wonder about that.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so let's switch gears a bit, right? And let's talk on femininity. So women and femininity. Do you think that women of today, 2022, have too much femininity or they have too little of it? What's your opinion on that?
Um, I think first we should look up the definition of femininity because I like to have the understanding of words before I like build off stuff. But according to what is this? With Oxford Languages, the definition of femininity is qualities or attributes regarded as characteristic of women. So pretty much the things that make a woman,
A woman.
yeah. So the question is there too much femininity?
Yes. Do you think that women have too much femininity or too little of it?
Um, in 2022? I think that there's too little femininity, and
Mm,
it's not our fault. Like, it's just the circumstances of our existence. Um, a lot of times, in order for the woman to truly, exhibit her, her caring abilities, her nourishing, nurturing qualities, she has to be well taken care of, financially, stable, a home that is in good shape. She doesn't have to worry about paying bills and whatnot. And because, we live in a world where a lot of things, life is expensive, people have children, children need to be fed, bills need to be paid. Um, Women oftentimes have to work along with the men just to to get by. And so, um, and then again, not even just that, a lot of I see a lot now, um, in the world and on social media. A lot of women have the mindset of being independent, being a boss and doing everything ourselves. When really in nature, we were never born to do everything ourselves. Like, one thing I had to learn like last year, because I'm still new to the adulthood thing. One thing I had to learn was that you literally cannot do everything yourself. It is the worst thing ever. I do not like this at all. Well, at the time, I said I do not like this at all. And it is literally, I forgot where I heard this, but I heard it somewhere. Someone quoted, and they said that it's literally in the woman's nature to ask. And as long as you are doing what you're supposed to be doing, Allah God will bless you with whatever it is that you are asking for, as long as it's not, vain, it's not something small like, oh, let me get a purse or something. Or let me
right, right.
something not realistic and just outrageous. But it's literally in a woman's nature to submit and ask. So when you are just like independent and I can speak from an entrepreneur, like a businesswoman's point of view. Like when you're just independent, you're focused on business, and a lot of times business in 2022 operates, how men operate business because they are the ones who pretty much own all of these companies. They're the ones who do all of the business pretty much. And so we are just doing what they're doing, but that's not necessarily what the men do is not necessarily in line with the woman's nature. And like the woman's nature, for example, is to be in flow. Like men are they are very linear. And again, this is just from observation. I'm not a
Mhm.
master at it. This is just from me being alive for 20 some plus years and just seeing how things work. But men are linear from my point of view. And they can just go every single day to work and be like, oh, it's just work. I can do this. But women, when they do that, um, not saying again, not all women, but it is very, it's much easier for a woman to burn out when it comes to, constantly working because, again, our nature, we're not made to do, that strenuous work every single day
Mm,
because that's just not um, what we were created to do.
right.
Yeah,
Mm,
nature. So, again, overall, to answer the question, I think there's too little femininity. And that's because there's so much that the woman has to do now. We can't really just be our natural selves. We have to, it's not even just having to go get money. We gotta, um, a lot of times actually face the battles of what we have going on in the world, especially black
right,
women.
right.
So it's when we are left alone, when we are left to just, exist as women, it's very beautiful what she can and will produce. But again, in 2020, the way that we have been shaped and molded in this particular moment in time, we work so much and we're not able to just do what we were born to do. So, yeah, I hope that answers that question. I don't know.
Indeed, and yes, indeed. You answered it the best way that you can, and it was very a profound answer. So thank you for that.
I'm afraid to God.
So family, if you are now tuning in, making sure that if you like what you hear, and if you learn anything by listening to this podcast, please make sure that you subscribe to DTR 360 Books YouTube channel. Click the link in my bio. Click the link in my bio and subscribe to the YouTube channel. It's free 99. It's free 99. All right. So I have about two more questions, beloved. So now, do you believe in gender roles, or it really doesn't matter?
Um, I'm sorry, I'm trying to charge my phone. I believe in pretty much everyone doing what their nature tells them that they should do. So, according to scripture, the male is the provider, the male, what is that word? Is it sustainer?
Sustainer, maintainer.
Maintainer, yes. Yeah, he's a provider, maintainer, sustainer. He goes out to make way, to get the home, get the resources for the woman. And then the woman, her nature is to be a nurturer, a mother, a healer. What are the words?
A nurturer, a consoler.
Yeah, a consoler. And in the Holy Quran, actually, it states that the male is not like the female. So they're two different people. But of course, we have the natures. But again, when there's something that needs to be filled when you're married to a man, you're married to a woman, it is your duty to fill that role. So if the woman has to work and the man doesn't have a job yet, he's looking and whatnot, then it'll be the man, to take care of the children, take care of the home. It's like, it's really like, I don't want to say like common sense, but it's really just, hey man, if we know our roles, we know what we're supposed to be doing. But again, if circumstances arise, stuff happen, you do what you got to
But
do, and inshallah, one day you are able to do what it is that your nature, um, until what your nature is calling for you to do. So I think that's how I answer that question. You just fill in what needs to be filled in. But yeah.
yeah, I think it's easier said than done, right? Because many of us don't know what our roles are in a relationship. Many of us don't know what it is to be a man to begin with. Many of us don't know what it is to be a woman. So when you have a word and you defined it, then we have to live up to that definition,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so again, this goes back to the lazy mentality. We don't want to define words and live up to that. Why? Because now you are accountable and living in direct guidance to that definition. So many of us, and of course we lack knowledge and we just do what we want to do. We're in relations, or many of us are in situationships, as we call it nowadays, and we're just doing whatever it is that we want to do, and not really. And then when you bring a new life into existence, that's like another story by itself, because many men, they abandon their child. They don't want to carry on again the responsibility and be accountable for their actions. So yeah, it's a multi-layered answer. Um, but definitely first we need to figure out what is a man, what is a woman, and actually, you know, ascribe to those definitions, right? And as you said before, and of course, I don't want to just say that a man is a protector, a provider, a maintainer, a sustainer, a disciplinarian, and then that's it. Because aside from that, a man is much more,
Yeah.
right? Because we all carry the masculine and feminine energies and chromosomes. So, well, I mean, even well, for the woman, it's just an X chromosome, but still, we both man and woman carry the masculine and feminine energies. So, according to the woman's environmental surroundings and upbringing, the woman may act more masculine, but
Mm-hmm.
she's a female, right? For the man, if he was brought up with, of course, a single mother household, her sisters is helping to raise the child. So his aunties is there, his female cousins are there. Every time they come over, he plays with them. 9 times out of 10, he may have feminine tendencies rather than masculine tendencies. So, it varies, and to me, it really depends on a person's upbringing. Um, and yeah, so that's just my little 2 cents on it.
Yes, sir. And honestly, it just makes me grateful for the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because I can honestly say that my reason for joining the Nation of Islam and joining the classes of the MGT and GCC is because I didn't really know what it was like to be a woman, and the training units, they're how to cook, how to keep house, how to rear children. And these were just things that I never got grew up. I never got growing up because, like I said earlier, my mother's mother's passed when she was very young, so she never really had a mother figure to look up to.
Mm,
So she didn't really know what she was doing. She did the best she could, of course.
right,
I'm
right.
proud of her, but she just, she didn't, she just didn't know. So
Wow.
in the Nation of Islam, again, we're taught how to keep house, how to cook. I did not. I knew how to cook, of course, but I didn't know the science of cooking, the science of eating, the science of you know eating when it's best to eat, because your stomach stops working at a certain time and it slows down, and just learning all of that, and not even just the cooking and whatnot, but like the nature of who I am, and again who I belong to, like literally the definition of femininity, and just breaking down that, learning all of that and understanding that, it just, again, it just makes me grateful, and it just makes me want to share this information with others, because I know how much it changed my life and the lives of those who are practicing these teachings and applying these teachings. Um, because again, some of us didn't grow up with mothers, some of us didn't grow up knowing these things, and I'm not ashamed of saying I didn't know that stuff. I know some people might be, but I just did
Nah,
not. But I know that,
many of us still don't know.
yeah, yeah, and I just know that, again, one of my main reasons was joining to become a woman, but I just know that I wanted to be a specific woman for my children,
Mm,
because that I had, I want to correct this, because I knew that if I did not correct, what was going on for this generational stuff, it was just going to keep going on. So I guess it's not even just me. I just think Allah God saw something in me to be the one, at least right now in this moment of time, in time, to correct, the future, inshallah, of my family. I don't know, but
yeah, no. Inshallah, at least you're doing the work, and I commend you on that. I commend all of our brothers and sisters that's out there doing the work, especially the youth, right? That's out there doing the work. Shout out to student minister, brother Nuri Muhammad. He says that a youthless movement is a useless movement. So without the youth, there would be no movement. So it's us, the youth, that has to carry on the movement and apply the things that we've learned either from our parents, from our elders, whomever, and carry on the movement. Because if there is no us, there will be no movement. So we are the core, we are the glue that is actually carrying on this consciousness, a new age consciousness, as I might add, on this social media platform. So no matter how many times they have disabled my account, I will be back. No matter how many times they disable Brother Rizza Islam's account, he will be back.
Yep.
Because a youthless movement is a useless movement. So if we know that, then we're going to come back 10 times harder.
Yep.
You're not going to just kill us just like that because we're off. No, we're coming back, and we're coming back stronger and harder. So if we know that, then we have a better perspective on our activism. We have a better perspective on the movement. If you look at the word activism, the base word of activism is to act, right? If you look at the word movement, the base word of movement is to move, right? So these are practicalities that we have to keep reminding ourselves to move, to act upon what we're trying to get towards to. And what are we all trying to achieve? Total freedom. I hope so. Total freedom. Everything is holistic. Some people may say that we're free, but we still can't do what we want to do. We still can't talk as we want to talk on this platform. So we're not totally free. So for me, my goal is total freedom. Alhamdulillah. Alhamdulillah. So I want to we're winding down here, and so I have about one more question for you. So how did you get into content creation? Because I know that's like your thing, right? How did you get into that?
So I actually was looking back on this not too long ago, but I when I was around 10 or 11, I found like really old edits of me from when I was in
Hold
like.
on, sister. I can't hear you, sis. Hello?
I can hear you. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you a little bit. A call came in and I declined it, so now the volume is kind of. I can hear you a little bit.
Yeah, it did that last time, but I can hear you better now.
Okay, okay,
Okay.
okay. You can hear me good. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So um again, like not too long ago, I was reflecting, and I actually found some pictures of me when I was in elementary school, like with some edits and um like those little filters everyone used to use in like 2013 wherever. But so I've been creating content, I can say, for more than 10 years. But as far as the video stuff, like doing what I'm doing now, I didn't get interested in that until 2017 once I graduated high school. And again, seeing Brother Ben X do it, um, he kind of inspired me because, again, he shared his story how, he's a very introverted person, but, creating the content kind of forced him out of his shell. And I was kind of in that same boat. And so that's what I really decided to do with my content. And really, like, I had a small thought in the back of my mind that when I saw Brother Ben, I was like, it'd be pretty cool if we had a female version of that. If someone was out the giving the woman value the way that he gives, the teachings and whatnot. And so I kind of just kept on the journey since 2018, just making videos, exploring stuff. Again, I'm very creative, so I
Hmm.
always come up with some new way to do something. Um, but I've been pretty much consistent in creating content almost every day for 2 years now, 2 or 3 years. So yeah, I think that's the
Cool. Indeed, indeed. Well, again, thank you so much, sister, for taking your time out of your busy schedule to come and feed the people with knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. You are appreciated, and thank you for all the work that you're doing on social media, in the mosque, and in the communities. You are greatly appreciated.
job.
Shukran. Thank you. Any last words for the people?
What can I say? Seek refuge in Allah or God or whatever you call them. Because we live in a crazy world, and it's only getting crazier. And so, really, the only thing that we can rely on for refuge, comfort, peace is Allah. So, yeah, that's my words. Hmm.
Indeed. Well, thank you again, Shukran. Can you save this live for me, beloved?
Yes, I will.
Appreciate
I'll
that.
send it to you too.
All right. So, family, I leave you as I greet you. Assalamu alaikum. Shalom, shalom, hotep, Islam, alafia, peace.